Now let's go to the Michigan Roundtable in particular. What is your mission, and what does that mission mean in real terms?
Well, the mission is simply stated, although I think a daunting task, is to build sustainable, inclusive communities. And the key word is sustainable. Our work starts with looking at a community. We talk about diversity, but you can have diversity in a lot of communities celebrated by a taste fest or a music fest or some kind of cultural affair, and we call that ornamental diversity. The second piece, and the most important piece, is the inclusive piece. I mean, our people of all religions and races and genders and sexual orientations and cultures and religions at the table. So we like to say we honor diversity by advancing inclusion.
Not to get off topic, but I think it was interesting that you called it ornamental diversity. I have been having an ongoing discussion with somebody about the importance of certain everyday things that help you become acclimated to another culture, food being one of them. Mm-hmm. So are there not ways that those types of things can help one community get more comfortable with another community? Oh,
I'm not discounting that, but my point is you can't just stop with that.
Right.
And for instance, if you have a taste and music and culture fest, and some of it involves the Indian or Asian community. Well, when then something happens in the schools, or for instance out in Plymouth when there was an expansion with the Hindu temple, I mean, that's where we're talking inclusion and looking at the other and not turning your back on them and recognizing that meal or that music or that dress is just sort of symbolic, that now you have to accept them and turn towards them.
Just not merely a joke, but I keep thinking I'm going to write a book called "I Really Love Your Falafel, But Leave," because it's that same kind of a thing where there's this, being afraid of something that's different. What does it really mean to assimilate that culture into your own culture? You like some of the things, but you're really not sure what it looks like to truly live side by side. So let's talk about, we talked with Frida obviously about the housing project. Now let's talk about what the work is today happening in Plymouth Canton, because it's a great example of your work and how you're trying to work with kids today in a school system that are facing all this onslaught of new cultures, new people, and how they handled it and what's been going on. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Our basic model is what we call a transitions framework, and we help communities deal with change. And we all have the event, the change itself, be it in your personal life, you lost your job and you have to move on, you had a death and you have to move away from that. So it's the same thing here, as we have a change. For instance, in Plymouth Canton 10 years ago, the community was 90% white, and now it's less than 70%. So we're helping them, that community, deal with the change. The same thing's going on in St. Clair Shores, where we're beginning our work, where a school system at the south end, the South Lake schools, had single-digit African-American population in their schools, and now it's about a third. So what we try to do through this transition period, meaning people sitting down and talking, people trying to understand each other, people building relationships and bonding with each other, we try to get to a new space where they say, okay, we're accepting of these folks, be they from a different race, from a different religion or culture, and that they're part of our community. And our community needs to be represented in that fashion. So in the school district, for instance, teachers, the school board should reflect what the community looks like. In Plymouth Canton, the police force should look something other than all white male. So in that case, what we've done is, for the first 6 months out there, we were the primary driving force, and then slowly a citizens group of 15 people formed their own council, and now they're the driving force, and they're going to get community funding to keep the work going. But the bottom line when we do our community change work is, we ask the community, how do you want to look? What do you want to be? It's not the Roundtable's agenda, it's the community's agenda. And when I use community, it's in its broadest sense. You mentioned schools. We've done work in schools, be it in Plymouth Canton, St. Clair Shores, Highland Park, Pontiac, Detroit Public Schools. Community could be a geography, like we just mentioned, Plymouth Canton, St. Clair Shores. We're beginning work also up in Mount Pleasant. Our mission is to go statewide, so we're up there with connections at Central Michigan University and the Native American leaders up there. We've done work in Grand Rapids, and we're kind of putting our toe in the water up in Flint. So it can be geographic, it could be the schools, it also could be a community such as the LGBT community. We're working on a project with leaders in the LGBT community to work with faith leaders so that there's a plan that congregations are accepting of people of different sexual orientation and gender identity. So those are some of the, in the broadest sense, what we're doing with communities.